The strongest revenge is invisible. Toxic people and narcissists thrive on your reaction, but Stoicism insists wisdom lies in silence. Drawing on the Daily Stoic Habits of Marcus Aurelius, Epictetus, and Seneca, you'll see how discipline turns insults into lessons, how truth defeats chaos, and how silent revenge leaves enemies exposed to themselves. Revenge has always been misunderstood. Most people think it means striking back, proving a point, or showing strength through force. But here's the paradox. The moment you lash out, you lose. Striking back often makes you look weaker, not stronger, because it shows you are still chained to the person who wronged you. When you argue with someone who insults you, when you scream at someone who betrayed you, you may feel a rush of power in the moment, but deep down, you've surrendered control. They dictated your reaction, and in Stoic terms, that means they owned you. Now think about the opposite. Imagine someone slanders you in front of others. Everyone expects you to defend yourself. They're waiting for the clash, the drama, the shouting. But instead, you give them nothing. No words, no excuses, just composure. At first, it feels unnatural, almost impossible. But as the silence lingers, the power shifts. The attention moves away from your reaction and onto their actions. Their noise begins to sound hollow. Their guilt starts to echo. And your silence becomes the loudest voice in the room. That's the truth no one tells you. Silence is not weakness. Self-control is not passivity. In fact, silence can be the most devastating form of revenge. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. They knew that by mastering your response, you make your enemy carry the weight of their own wrongdoing. Marcus Aurelius put it clearly in one line: "The best revenge is not to be like your enemy." Those words are hard to accept because they confront a painful reality. You don't win by mirroring their chaos. You win by refusing to become them. You've been there. A toxic colleague undercuts you in a meeting. A manipulative partner twists the truth. A so-called friend betrays your trust. Everything in you wants to explode, to set the record straight, to make them feel what you feel. But ask yourself honestly, when has anger ever made you freer? When has shouting ever built your reputation? The hard truth is that noise rarely destroys your enemies. It usually destroys you. What truly unmasks them, what unsettles them more than any argument, is your discipline. This channel exists to give you that perspective, to show you how the ancient Stoics turned revenge upside down, not by feeding anger, but by sharpening self-mastery. Here, you'll learn how to transform insults, betrayal, and toxic manipulation into fuel for growth. If you find value here, subscribe. It's a small click for you, but it helps us share more timeless Stoic wisdom and how it transforms revenge into strength with the world. And let me ask you something, because I want you to reflect and even leave your answer below. Which do you think is harder? A, staying silent when insulted, or B, controlling your emotions after betrayal? There isn't a right or wrong answer, but how you respond says a lot about where your strength truly lies. So if you've ever wondered how silence could be more devastating than words, or how self-control could be the sharpest weapon of revenge, stay with me. Because there's a principle Marcus Aurelius lived by that shows exactly why silence can defeat even the most toxic enemies. And it's where our journey continues next. The more you try to take revenge through emotional outbursts, the more power you give away. This is a hard truth to accept because instinct pushes you to strike back so you won't appear weak. But every time you shout at an insult, every time you obsess over teaching someone a lesson, you are unknowingly handing control of your emotions to the very person who hurt you. They provoke, you explode. They bait you, you fall into the trap. In reality, you are not punishing them, you are serving them. The biggest mistake people make is believing that emotional release is strength. In fact, it is the opposite. Every minute you lose control is a minute you lose credibility, dignity, and authority. Outsiders don't see that you're right. They only see a mind being manipulated. From a Stoic perspective, that's not victory. It's defeat within your own soul. Think back to the last time you were so angry you couldn't stop replaying an insult or action in your head. You thought you were in control by rehearsing the perfect response, but in truth, you were trapped in their game. The more you thought about it, the more space you gave them in your mind. That is emotional slavery, revenge in which you are the one imprisoned. So what is the Stoic path? It is discipline, the ability to distinguish between reacting and choosing. Discipline doesn't mean silence forever. It means knowing when and how to respond. Not in anger, but in composure. Not to get even, but to uphold your character. Real power lies in being able to master yourself so completely that your enemy has nothing left to exploit. Imagine a familiar scenario. A toxic coworker tries to humiliate you in a meeting. If you snap back, trembling with anger, you fall into the trap they set. But if you remain professional, keep working, and let your results speak for themselves, time makes the truth clear. The harder they try to drag you down, the smaller they look. And you, through discipline, rise above them. That is revenge, sharpened by reason, not noise. Discipline is not avoidance. It is not resignation. It is strategy. It is the art of refusing to let your emotions dictate your actions. The Stoic view is that when you master your response, you control the outcome. When you don't allow anger to take over, you protect your dignity. And when you choose silence with intention, you turn that silence into a judgment against the wrongdoer. If you know someone dealing with toxic people, share this video with them. You might help them realize that revenge is not about shouting louder, but about mastering yourself so completely that others no longer hold power over you. And remember this: disciplined silence is not emptiness. It is the very thing that unsettles the guilty more than 1,000 accusations. In the next part, we'll uncover a principle that shows why silence can expose guilt more clearly than any confrontation ever could. The paradox of revenge is this: the more you retaliate, the more you remain chained to your enemy. The more you restrain, the freer you become. This is the part most people resist, because culture teaches you that payback means striking back, that anger is strength, and that silence is weakness. But the Stoics knew those are illusions. Retaliation locks you in the same cage as the wrongdoer. Anger burns you more than it burns them. And silence, far from being empty, is a mirror, one that reflects their actions back to them until guilt does what anger never could. Think about how guilt works. When someone betrays you or insults you, their first instinct is to justify it. You pushed me to this. Everyone does it. You're too sensitive. Those excuses may sound convincing for a moment, but they crumble in silence. When you refuse to answer, when you deny them your reaction, the only voice left is their own conscience. And the truth is relentless. It whispers at night. It lingers in quiet moments. It forces them to replay what they did. The silence you chose becomes the amplifier of that guilt. This is why chasing retaliation often makes you weaker. If you argue endlessly, they can twist your words. If you lose your temper, they can point back at your reaction. But when you stay disciplined, you remove their cover. They can no longer hide behind your anger. They are left face to face with what they did, and there is no distraction strong enough to erase it. Your silence turns into a mirror they cannot look away from. Picture a toxic friend who betrays your trust. They expect confrontation, shouting, maybe even revenge. But instead, you walk away without drama. To others, your calmness speaks louder than anything you could have shouted. To the betrayer, your silence is unbearable because it leaves them alone with their reflection. Every time they think of you, they see themselves, the liar, the betrayer, the one who broke trust. That image gnaws at them far longer than your words ever would. And here's the intellectual pain most people ignore. By staying silent, you don't avoid conflict. You control it. You set the terms of engagement. You decide not to waste energy in arguments designed to drag you down. Instead, you let the truth do its work. That's not weakness. That's strategy. That's the Stoic definition of revenge. Not retaliation, but mastery. This is why silence unsettles toxic people so deeply. They can counter arguments, but they cannot counter what is not said. They can deny your accusations, but they cannot deny their own conscience when it echoes in silence. And the longer the silence lasts, the louder that echo becomes. They wanted to use your reaction as proof that you were unstable. Instead, you denied them proof and handed them only their guilt. That is how silence outsmarts the manipulator, the narcissist, the betrayer. If this lesson resonates with you, like this video and subscribe for more Stoics lessons on how silence and self-discipline can defeat toxic people. Every attack you face from toxic people can feel like a wound, but with the right mindset, it becomes something else, an opportunity. The Stoics believed that even betrayal, even insult, could be turned into raw material for strength. In the next part, we'll uncover how pain, when met with discipline, is not just endured. It is transformed into lasting power. By waiting for the perfect moment to respond, you hand more control to those who wronged you. This is the paradox of revenge. You think silence only matters if you unleash it at just the right time, but hesitation is itself a surrender. Every delay is space for toxic people to write the story for you. The longer you wait, the stronger their grip on your emotions becomes. Think of what happens when you replay betrayal in your head, imagining the day you will confront them, planning the words that will finally make them regret it. While you prepare your response, they go on with their lives. You are the one carrying the weight. The truth is, by waiting, you let your pain become their power. Stoicism teaches that discipline is not about timing the strike. It is about acting now, in the moment, with restraint and clarity. Marcus Aurelius reminded himself, "Waste no more time arguing what a good man should be. Be one." The lesson is simple. If you wait for the perfect stage to prove yourself, you miss the chance to practice virtue in the present. The opportunity for Stoic revenge, silent, disciplined, free of anger, does not exist in the future. It exists in the split second when you are insulted, betrayed, or manipulated. The moment you resist the urge to lash out, you have already won. Consider the workplace. A colleague undermines you, and instead of staying composed, you tell yourself you will handle it later. But later never comes, because resentment only grows. Your silence at the wrong time is not strategy. It is avoidance. In that gap, the toxic person gains confidence, sensing that they can provoke you without consequence. The cost of delay is not neutral. It strengthens their hold. Or take relationships. Someone lies, betrays, or manipulates. You know you should walk away with calm dignity, yet you linger, waiting for the right opportunity to leave on your own terms. In that hesitation, you give them more chances to twist the story, more time to convince you that you are the problem. By not acting, you feed the very cycle that drains you. Pain is inevitable, but procrastination makes it permanent. If you do not train yourself to transform pain into discipline in the moment, it will fester. You will carry it into tomorrow, and tomorrow into the next week, until your identity becomes tied to the wrong done against you. Silence delayed is not silence at all. It is wasted energy disguised as patience. And here is the warning. If you keep delaying, toxic people will not just test your limits, they will control your life. Every hesitation is an invitation for them to push further. Every excuse you make for waiting is a brick you hand them to build a prison around you. The only way to break free is to choose discipline now. What if every attack you faced was an opportunity to practice strength before it was needed? The Stoics believed the strongest revenge is not won in the heat of battle, but in the preparation of the mind, long before the fight begins. That is where we turn next. The final victory in any conflict is not humiliating your enemy. It is proving to yourself that they cannot control your mind or your actions. This is the ultimate lesson of Stoic revenge. You are not free when you win an argument. You are free when you no longer feel the need to have one. Think about how many times you have been tempted to answer an insult. Someone mocks you, spreads a rumor, or challenges your dignity. Every instinct tells you to respond, to explain, to make them regret it. But what actually happens when you give in? You hand them proof that they still hold your attention. They have taken up space in your mind, and for that moment, they own you. The strength you thought you were showing by reacting is the exact moment you gave them control. Now consider the opposite. You hear the insult, but you refuse to answer. You watch the manipulation, but you do not play along. You recognize the betrayal, but you walk away with dignity. In that instant, you take back authority over your own life. The silence you choose is not a retreat. It is a declaration. My peace is mine, and no one can take it unless I allow them to. That is not weakness. That is mastery. In daily life, this freedom plays out in small but powerful ways. In the workplace, it means letting your results speak for you while others waste energy tearing you down. In relationships, it means walking away from manipulation without drama, choosing to invest in growth rather than arguments that go nowhere. On social media, it means refusing to answer baiting comments designed only to drag you into conflict. Each choice not to react is a reminder that your worth does not depend on their noise. Silence as freedom is not about avoiding responsibility. It is about choosing what deserves your energy and what does not. Most people scatter their strength by fighting every battle placed in front of them. The Stoic knows better. Not every provocation requires an answer, and not every challenge deserves attention. The more selective you are with your responses, the more powerful your responses become when you decide to use them. This kind of freedom also protects your future. Arguments and retaliation consume energy that could be used to build the life you want. Each hour wasted in conflict is an hour stolen from your purpose. But when you practice the discipline of silence, you conserve your strength for what matters most: your work, your values, your inner growth. Over time, this discipline compounds, giving you a reputation not for noise, but for composure, not for retaliation, but for unshakable presence. So the final word is this: silence is not absence. It is power concentrated. When you remain silent, you show that no one else can dictate who you are or how you act. That is the ultimate freedom and the greatest revenge the Stoics left us: to rise above, untouched by the chaos others try to impose. In just one sentence, share the Stoic habit that helps you rise above toxic people. The core message of this video is clear. In Stoic philosophy, revenge is not retaliation, but self-mastery, because the true victory is proving to yourself that toxic people cannot control your thoughts or emotions. Silence, restraint, and discipline are not weakness. They are power, and they turn every insult, betrayal, or act of manipulation into an opportunity to rise above. The lesson is deeply practical. Each time you resist the urge to argue, you take back control. Each time you refuse to give attention to a narcissist, you rob them of their influence. Each time you choose dignity over reaction, you strengthen your inner fortress. These daily choices, silence when insulted, detachment when provoked, composure when tested, are small acts of silent revenge that protect your peace and build resilience. The paradox of revenge is that the less you try to prove yourself, the stronger you become. Because by stepping out of the fight others create, you leave them with nothing but their own guilt while you walk free. What does victory mean to you? Silence or retaliation? Share your reflections in the comments below, and subscribe to discover timeless Stoic principles each week and learn how to apply them in real life.